What I've discovered is that writer's block is often a symptom of an underlying problem. It's helpful for me to think, well, what is this a symptom of? What's really going on here? Good morning, gentle viewer. It is Writer Wednesday today. I'm going to be doing the writing rituals tag and getting ready for the day. Also, there's some construction going on my street outside, so if you hear a little bit of that background noise, thank you for bearing with me. I hope you enjoy the video and thank you for stopping by. Alright, gentle viewer, I'm gonna get started with getting ready for the day and the writing rituals tag. I found this tag on Kim Chance's channel, and it was a collaboration she did with Mandy Lin. If you haven't seen any of Kim Chance's videos, she's a very encouraging writer. She's very supportive of other writers, so go check her out. The first question in the tag is, when do you write? Time of day, day of week. Now, I'm one of those super annoying morning people. I can't always schedule a large chunk of writing time in the mornings, but on the days where I try to write at least a little bit in the morning, I tend to write more throughout the day. I think it just gets my brain into a place where I'm at least thinking about the story, and my subconscious is turning over ideas and what's going to happen next. Even if you're not a morning writer, I would suggest in the mornings at least contemplating your story or going back and rereading a little bit of it. That way, as you go throughout the day, in the back of your mind, your brain is still turning over those problems. As for days of the week, I do try to write a little bit every day, and that just works for me. Question number 2 is, how do you seclude yourself from the outside world? Being a military spouse, there have been times where I've written in airports, train stations, and in teeny tiny hotel rooms. So in cases like that, I find putting in my earbuds and not even necessarily playing anything specific, but just that act of reducing the sensory input from the world around me works really well. And I do notice that it is very difficult for me to work when my husband is home. What ends up happening is that I see him playing video games, and then I think, oh, I want to play video games. And then I end up playing video games. So if he's at home and I'm trying to get some writing done, I will usually make a declaration, like just saying the words out loud. Okay, for the next hour, I'm going to be locked down, writing, not doing anything else. And that declaration is more for myself than for him. Just stating my intentions out loud sometimes helps me see them through. The third question is, how do you review what you wrote the previous day? I don't do this a whole lot because it can be tempting to start editing, but it is helpful to do it at least in some capacity. For me, it helps me sink back into that writing headspace and hear the character's voice. One thing I've found helpful is when I finish my writing session for the day to think about what I'm going to write the next day and leaving myself a note right in the document. So if I finished one scene, I leave myself a note inside the actual document, and I'll just type it out and say, for the next scene, they're going to go here, and this is going to happen. It kind of feels like when you get to the end of a TV episode and they play a little teaser trailer, next time on Riverdale or next time on Supernatural. That way, when I come back to the work, I don't have to necessarily read over everything I wrote the previous day. By reading that little note to myself, I can think, oh yeah, they were here doing this. And then I can just jump right in with today's session. Question number 4 is, what song is your go-to when you're feeling uninspired? The way that writers use music for their writing is so interesting. I don't really make individual soundtracks when I'm writing a manuscript, but I do have character theme songs, if that makes sense. With this manuscript I'm working on, there were a couple of songs that came on my music player, and I was thinking, oh, that really captures this character's attitude. That really embodies this other character's outlook on life. So I will save those to a playlist, and it's only going to be like 1 or 2 songs. But if I'm trying to get back into a character's headspace, it can be very helpful to listen to those theme songs, and then the lyrics and the tone just create that character's headspace for me. Question number 5 is, what do you always do when you find yourself struggling with writer's block? I.e., listen to music, read, watch YouTube, etc. For me, what I've discovered is that writer's block is often a symptom of an underlying problem. So what I've discovered is that it's key to not walk away from it. I know for many people, they go off and take a break, maybe take a shower or a walk, or just create some distance between themselves and the manuscript. But if I get up and leave my writing session, chances are I'm not coming back for the rest of the day. So instead, it's helpful for me to think, well, what is this a symptom of? What's really going on here? So I mentioned the story or the writer's diary before, but I'm finding that helpful. If I feel stuck, I can go into that diary and journal out what's really going on. And in doing that, I found I tend to hit the same obstacles over and over again. So it's a pattern within myself. And now that I've identified those patterns, I can take steps to deal with them and to keep moving forward. I tend to over-rely on my outline. So what often happens is, in my outline, I've listed a certain scene, but then when I'm actually drafting it, I discover, oh, I don't really like this scene, it's boring, or it no longer fits in with the overall story I'm trying to tell. So that's when writer's block happens most often for me, is that the scene that I'm working on isn't working for me anymore. So the best way to overcome that block in the moment is to either abandon that scene and move on, or change the scene so that I do want to write it. Question number 6 is, what tools do you use when you're writing? I use my MacBook and I use Scrivener. I do have an Alpha Smart, and I will break him out on occasion. The next question is, what's the one thing you can't live without during a writing session? I do find some kind of ambient noise to be very helpful. So I mentioned some ASMR videos. In addition to that, there's a YouTube channel called 8 Hours Of, and they have a cafe coffee shop one that I also enjoy. There's also a site called Sound Drown, and I've found that site to also be a good source of ambient noise. I think I'm gonna skip contouring my nose from now on. I was focusing on it there for a while, but then I thought about it. I wear larger glasses, so really they cover up any of that contouring work that's been done. And for highlighter, I'm using the L'Oreal True Match Lumi. Sometimes highlighters can be very sparkly. I find this one much more subtle. Question number 8 is, how do you fuel yourself during your writing session? I classically use the fuel chosen by generations of writers, which is coffee. I do try to switch it up sometimes with tea. And I don't really eat while writing, but I do try to take regular snack and food breaks. Yeah, let's see how the Terrible 2 are feeling today. I was playing The Sims 4 last night, gentle viewer, and even in The Sims, I get low-key stressed about my Sims eyebrows. Okay, the last question in the tag is, how do you know when you're done writing? For me, mental exhaustion really manifests in a physical way. So I'll notice that after a while, I'm really hunched over the keyboard, like I'm drooping onto the desk, and my face is this far from the screen because I'm just exhausted. And at some point, I'll reach a place where even if I go and take a break, do some stretching, drink some water, when I come back from that, I still can't get into the story and I'm right back into that drooped position, then I know I've wrung out everything I can for the day and it's time to call it quits. Alright, looks like I'm good to go here. So that was my writing rituals tag. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave me a comment. Thank you for spending some time with me this morning. I hope you have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!